Ready? Give it a Let's get to it. What's up YouTube? I'm Michael and behind the camera is Ellie. We are the Bill Paying Hobbyists. This week we have this chrome Manager Rollerball pen kit and a Spectra-Ply Thin Blue Line blank. We need to get this blank cut to length and the bandsaw will do the trick. Here we are at the bandsaw. I got the Manager's kit tubes. They're two different lengths, Thin Blue Line blank. I'm going to zoom you in down here on the jig so you can see how I use it and cut my blanks to size. All right, this jig is fantastic and really simple. I basically take the tube I want, I put it right there, take this little jig handle, I put it there, and I rest my blank up against it, and then when I cut, my blank will be the same length as my tube, with a little bit extra. This is a fine tuning knob so you can get a little bit more so you can square these off at the end when it's time. And I'll show you how to do that when we get to that step. So for right now, let's get these cut. Safety glasses, always put safety glasses on, and here we go. Now these are cut to length, and now all I gotta do is go to the drill press, get the right size drill bits for these tubes, drill my blanks, and then I can glue them together. So let's go do that. Here we are at the drill press for the Manager's Rollerball. Both of these tubes are exactly the same diameter, so it's a 27/64 bit. That's a big one with these two blanks. So I'm gonna find the centers on these and we're gonna drill the holes. Let me show you how we do that. All right, it's really simple to find the centers. So you just take a straight edge, something that's straight, and you go from corner to corner, corner to corner, draw lines. Where those two lines meet is your center. Now what I like to do from here is take an awl, put it right on that center line, around that X. Make a little dent. That indentation gives my drill bit something to guide to. Just helps find the right spot. There we go. Now we're ready to drill. I'm going to use this blank vise. I'm going to set that in there. And that holds it steady. Holds it straight up and down, and it holds it still so it doesn't turn while I'm drilling. I'm going to put my drill bit in there. And the one thing I need to do is make sure that my drill bit has enough room to clear this long one. It does not, so I need to lower my table enough there. Still go down far enough, and it will clear, so it will take care of both. So safety glasses, and let's drill this hole. Also make sure it's straight before you start. All right, here we are. We've got the Manager's kit with the two cut pieces of blue thin line. Now, these tubes are smooth, so we need to rough them up. I just take some 120 grit sandpaper, rough them up. You can use a rougher grit if you want to, an 80 and a 60. It's just on you. 120 works for me. I guess if I had some 80, I would rough it up with that as well. You want these lines in here so you have something for epoxy to adhere to, or CA glue, whatever you happen to use. I use JB Weld 2-part epoxy. I go to. Mix it up for 30 seconds, let it go. It says you can use it in 5 minutes. I let it sit for 24 hours. It's just me. Like I said, use what works for you. If you prefer CA glue, it dries a lot faster. I've never had any good luck with CA glue. So I don't Make sure it doesn't stick out on either end, but you got it down recessed just a little bit. You want it recessed just a little bit. Oh, there we go. Do it like corn on cob in the butter. You know, that's a new one. I've never done that before. Anyway, get it in there. I see why I don't do that. Hard to get a hold of. Get it in there. Good coverage. Make sure it doesn't stick out at either end. Good to go. Let that sit for 24 hours and we'll tell you it turned. Polish it up, make it nice and shiny. All right, now it's time for the thin blue line on the Manager's Rollerball kit, chrome. So we just need to get this on the lathe and get it turned out. This has its own special set of bushings. We got the cap and then we got the body of the pen, so they're different sizes. And we also need to clean out the excess glue that's inside. I'm gonna bring you closer and show you how all that works. So the tubes, I have some excess glue on the inside and we're gonna get that out. Easiest way for me to do that is with this X-Acto knife. And just kind of get in there and dig it out. You're not gonna hurt your blade because, you know, eventually they wear out anyway, but this is just brass, so it's not really hurting anything. Get that out so my bushings can fit. Even if you don't see any glue, epoxy, whatever you're using, it's a good idea to do that just to make sure so your bushings will fit right. All right, so we have our pen mandrel. It's a number 2 Morris to fit my lathe. Some are number 1, some are number 2, just depends on your lathe. And I have my mandrel saver, same size, goes in this end. That keeps my shaft straight, keeps me from pushing on it, bending it, or anything else while I'm cutting. On my mandrel, I have a spacer. I have an old bushing that's got a little nick out of it. Hit it with a carbide. And then the bushings for this pen kit, the Manager. All right, so the Manager came from Turner's Warehouse. They often have very nice pens. The 2 end bushings are the same, so the top of the cap and the bottom of the pen are gonna be the same diameter. That one goes on there, then I'm gonna put my cap on, and then I'm gonna take this one, and this center bushing has a smaller end that's the same size as the top and bottom, and then a bigger end for the end of the cap that screws on to the body of the pen. You need that there, and then this blank, and then my end bushing. We'll put a little spacer. That's just enough. Pretty tight, but it's enough. So actually, I think what I'm gonna do is, I really don't like that, so what I'm gonna do, I'll back all this off, and I'm gonna take out 1 spacer. So I'm gonna lock this down and I'm gonna tighten this up. Not real tight, I don't wanna bend my shaft, but I want it tight enough so that these continue to turn as I'm turning. And they turn with my lathe and they don't get caught as I'm cutting. And then I tighten that down. Tool rest, it gets set. I can put that right there. Make this perpendicular. Much as possible. And make sure my tool rest is high enough so that my chisel blade falls about halfway in the middle of what I'm cutting. All right, safety glasses, and let's start turning. All right, so we're gonna get the end squared off, get this out of the way. A backer plate with a 3/4 inch piece of plywood on it, and Velcro. I'm gonna screw that on, maybe. There we go. It's got the Velcro on holding the sandpaper. That's 120 grit sandpaper, 6-inch disc. And I have my drill chuck. It's got a number 2 Morse on it as well. Slides into the tailstock. And then an off-center jig. Right here. I put a little shaft right there. I'll show you how that works right now. Tighten this down. I need a check key. Here you are. And tighten that up. It's good to go. And then I want to find a punch tube. I have punch pins, whole stack of them right here, to find the right one that fits that tube. Both tubes are the same on this pen, so one will work for both. We use that one. So this one slides right in here. Once you get it long enough, there we go. All right, bring it all the way back. Make sure it's in there notch. There's a little notch in there. Make sure it's in there tight. Good to go. Slides on there. I bring it up. Turn this to about 1200, and we're gonna sand that off. Now all I wanna do is sand down the wood to the brass tube. So when you get to where you need to be, it'll be shiny. I'll show you what I mean. You can hear it, shiny, shiny. Now let's do this side. When you do this a lot, you can start hearing it when it hits that brass tube. That metal makes a different sound when it hits the sandpaper. There it is. Shiny, shiny.
You need to use your sacrificial bushings.
Ted. I wonder if Ted's still watching.
I know.
And what I'm gonna do is I put the actual bushing that goes with it so I can use it as a test to measure. Is I'm gonna make the top of the cap match this part of the bushing and the bottom of the cap match this part of the bushing. Spectra-Ply, which is what this material is, tends to bleed when you get it wet, when you clean it, when you polish it. So to keep that from happening, I'm gonna put a coat of, and when you sand it, it'll bleed. So I'm gonna put a coat of CA glue on here, real quick, thin coat, so that it can go in and lock those colors in there before I sand it down and get it shaped completely.
Golly gee, how'd you know that?
Lots of trial and error. And a little bit of help from Dad. A little bit of help from Dad, a little knowledge from Dad. And it's always good to, sometimes, if you're using thin towels like what I'm doing here, is just, it's not for polishing purposes or finishing purposes to put something over your finger, because this stuff gets hot. I'm gonna push it in really hard. I'm gonna turn the lathe down to about 600 so I don't fling glue everywhere. Now while that's drying, I'm gonna do the bottom. All right, so to sand, I don't need this in my way. I'm going to finish this off, get it flat. I use this piece of 1/4 inch Luan, 180 grit and 320 grit. I'm gonna sand with the 180 first at about 1200 RPMs. So we'll go with the green. Looks pretty good.
It does.
Still needs to be polished. There's little ridges in there from using my finger and the blue pad, the blue paper towel to put the CA glue on there. So I'm going to just smooth it out and get rid of those ridges, and then we'll polish it up. To do that, I use Abernet. And it goes 180, 220, 240, 320, and 400. I have two 400s for some reason. And I just do a light sanding, basically make it dull, get rid of the ridges, and go from there. I'll do that at 1200. All right, now it's time to wet sand. Good to go. All right, let's get the other one done. Next, glass polish. I put it in my little honey bear. I focus on you? Can you see that? Yeah, little honey bear, Publix honey bear. And it's just glass polish, but it works amazing for me. Use what you want. My dad uses Plastex when he's using a CA finish. He loves it. You use what is right for you. There are so many different polishes out there that you can use. So I just take my orange terry cloth. Well, no, I'm sorry, microfiber cloth. Turn this up. I'm gonna put this one at about 1600 and make this puppy shine. You know what? Let's go to 1800. One more. Renaissance wax. Wow. That's gonna look good on that pen. All right, let's break this down, go over to the workbench, and we'll use the pen press and put this thing together. All right, here we are at the bench, and I have my pen press, and I have my blanks, and my kit. Ink cartridge. We have our end cap that goes on top of the actual cap, so that's gonna go here. We have the end cap for the body of the pen. That'll go down here. You have the threaded end that goes in the bottom of the cap, and then you have your tip and this part that goes in here so those two can thread together. We'll have to spread this out a little bit. We can take this end, put it like that, hold that in there, make sure it's straight. Now I don't want to cover up the blue line, of course, because the whole point of this pen is the thin blue line. Hold those together. Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure these lines match up on both. Alright, so I got it started. Let's get all the extra stuff out of the way that's causing issues. How'd we do? Put the cap on. Again, I don't want to mar up anything. It's on there. This kit does not take a spring. Get rid of that. Drop that in there. Screw that on. From the Bill Paying Hobbyists to all the police officers out there, thank you. Now we need to find an officer to give this to, Ellie.
Definitely, next time you get pulled over for speeding.
Ha! Thanks for watching. Our analytics show that over 90% of our viewers are not subscribed, so make sure to tell that subscribe button to click itself. A thumbs up and a share is always welcome too. Is there a police officer, firefighter, or first responder in your life you want to give a special gift to? Leave us a comment and we'll work out the details. Please do something nice for a veteran today. See you next week. We love you. Here we are at the drill press for the manager's ballpoint. I'm sorry. No, we're not. And I don't speed.